way. Hello, Matteo. Give us your full name.
Matteo Samuele Spini. This is my name and surname. I am from Italy. I live in Milan. I am almost 44, even if I pretend to be 20, but you know, and I am in some way involved in mixed media and all of this stuff. This is what I
Well,
do.
I'm very curious because you're a fairly newcomer to this, and I'm wondering what made you start? What made you start to do journaling? And
S-
and I wouldn't call it junk journaling what you do
mhm,
necessarily. At least I don't see it that way. I saw the first images that were botanical, that were
yeah.
lovely. So now I'm taking up a lot of time. You talk.
Okay. Okay. So, um, I have, I have, I forced myself to stay away from art because of some very bad comments that I received from my art teacher in school when I was 10 or 11, I guess, because I cannot draw. I have no talent at drawing. I'm not good at drawing at all, but I have always been attracted to colors, to art, to creativity in some way. But after that comment, I decided that I was never ever going to touch a paintbrush or whatever again until one day, I think it was 4 years ago, I guess, uh, I was watching YouTube as usual because I am an avid watcher of YouTube, and I saw a man whose name is John Beckley, I guess. I believe that he's from France, and he was painting abstract canvases, and he made everything look so easy, and everything he made was basically amazing. He makes you, he inspires you to do the same thing that he does, because when we talk about abstract subjects, you can do whatever you want. So I said, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to buy some supplies. So I bought a canvas and a bunch of colors, and I did my first canvas. And it turned out, let's say, decent. And when my parents saw it, they were amazed by the abstract subject and how it turned out, and I was very proud of it. And so I started playing with canvases and acrylic colors and blah, blah, blah. And one day I stumbled on another YouTube channel, which belongs to someone that you know very well. I'm referring to Laurie Marie Jenkins. And I still remember the first time that I saw one of her videos. She was playing with a book, and I thought, what is she doing? It was the first time that I saw someone work and paint and create on a book. And it was absolutely brand new to me what she was doing. And I was amazed by the result that she achieved with what she had on her table. She was telling a story. She was creating something that was transferred to her mind onto a book, which is an object that we all have at home. And to me, that was very fascinating. But the thing that really caught my attention is that she didn't care about rules, about being perfect, about remaining in the box. She was doing what she wanted. And her catchphrase that remained in my mind is that when something went a little off track, she looked at this flow or mistake and she said, I am okay with that because it is part of the charm. And I said, oh my God, this is so true. Nothing has to be that perfect. You can create, you can have fun. And so I started following her. And that's when I made my very, very first altered book. And it is a biographical altered book because it talks in some way about me, my life, my past, my family. And that is the only altered book that I have ever made. I kept on following her, and she was very inspiring. She was limitless. Um, and about creativity, she is a giant to me. And then I discovered junk journals. I tried to make my own junk journals, and I struggled with them because they, I tried to follow somebody else's rule. I don't know how to explain that, but I felt forced to put paper together, images together, colors together, stains of acrylic colors together. But I knew for a fact that that was not my thing because I was not putting myself in that kind of thing. I had to do things in my way, and that's when I discovered bookbinding. And this is where I am at right now. I create books, um, first of all, because they are fascinating, and then because bookbinding to me is a very fascinating and meditative process. It really does make me feel good. I love playing with paper, and I can enrich the books that I make with images that I want, with writings that I want. I can give an inspiration or a color or a theme without the need to over decorate what I am working on. And to me, this is really important because anyone who buys or that receives one of my blank um, journals, they have the opportunity to write and to put themselves in what I create. And this is something that I find really fascinating. And I find it even more fascinating and interesting from a certain point of view when I see that people are very interested in vintage script, vintage handwriting, and so on. And it seems that we forget somehow that we can do it right now. And one day, our present handwriting will be a vintage and fascinating handwriting for somebody else. So it seems that people are chasing the past when when they can create their past today. I don't know if it makes sense. I don't know if my English is working well,
No, no, no. Your
but
English is working very well. And I think that you're absolutely right that they're creating the past as they go. You
yeah,
know, part of meditation is living in the present because
yes,
there's no past and there's no future. You just live in the present. And what you're saying is what's being created needs to be created in the present and it will be past as soon as it's created. And
absolutely.
that it doesn't have to be vintage in a
Hmm.
sense.
Yes.
And that it's vintage by accident.
Yes, absolutely. Because people that were handwriting their journals 50, 70, 80 years ago, they didn't know that. Today, we would be so fascinated by that. And I am realizing that handwriting, which is one of the most fascinating things that we can do, is basically disappearing. And this makes me sad because it is very beautiful to me to see a handwritten page. And this is something that today is really hard to find. And I dare to tell you just a little story about handwriting because many, many years ago, I used to journal every day on a little book, a little agenda that I had. And in that period, that was the period that I met my husband. And I remember that when I wrote the last page of that book, I told him if our relationship will work on our 20th anniversary, I am going to reopen this book and read it with you. And when our 20th anniversary came, I took that book out of the box I put it in, and I saw all of my handwriting, and I froze in some way all of those details and moments that would have disappeared without those those words that I wrote a long time ago. And it was fascinating, well, and also embarrassing to read what I wrote when I was 20 years old. But this is something that people don't do anymore. They are more interested in finding something digital that was handwritten by somebody else a long time ago and replicate it, printing it and putting it inside of a book when they can start their own journaling and make a page absolutely precious and most of all unique.
Well, when you were talking about the past, the present, I was thinking about handwriting and how the script is not any longer being taught in school, and it's cursive is, I think, the writing script,
Hmm.
but now people expect you to just learn how to block print, you
Oh,
know,
that's very
uh,
bad to
which
me.
is which is not writing cursive anymore. And so your comments are very apropos to the moment.
Hmm.
And I think to encourage people to make their own handwritten journal and to say something and write in it is very beautiful because I went through a difficult time, and when I did, I wrote. I have a trunk full of journals, and I wrote through the time in the journals. Like
Yeah,
I worked everything out in the journals. I can't stand to read them, but I have them, you know,
yeah.
and someday maybe I'll look at them. And I did look at them. I tried to look at them and I thought, but there was a process. Like there
Hmm.
was a process that I went through. If you hear noises in the background, it's my dogs.
No, it's
And
okay.
so
It's
don't
okay.
be surprised if all of a
I
sudden
have
they
cats
go.
that are torturing me, so if you hear them, you have dogs and I have
So
cats.
you have cats, I have dogs, and then my dogs will all of a sudden see somebody across the street and go crazy and start barking. But
It's
anyway,
okay.
we are on the same page, so to speak, about this. So that's when I said I don't find your journals to be junk journals in a sense. I also find them to be beautiful artifacts, especially the botanical ones. When I
Oh,
first
thank you.
started watching the botanical imagery that you had made, and then the coffee dyed paper, I've been through this, through your experimenting and going. How long have you been doing YouTubing now?
YouTubing, I think maybe 1 year and a half, maybe two. I have no idea, even because I am not consistent with YouTube, and I am one of those who don't go crazy about subscribers and so on. I mean, if somebody wants to join me, I'm pretty happy, but I know that the number of subscribers that I have is what it is. I mean, I'm not one of those who want to earn money or be over the top with YouTube. I mean, it's just a moment of sharing for me. When I
So
discover
let me ask
something,
you something. Did you do something before other than YouTube? What and journals? What do you do for a job, or what did you do for a job?
so I have always been creating something, tiny things, small things. I used to have a job that I lost, and now I don't have a job anymore, um, unfortunately. But I have always been creating something. I used to make jewels before. I made jewels, and then I went to a jewelry school, and I made my own jewels with. I worked with silver, and I made quite particular jewelry, and it didn't work unfortunately, because people do not really take into consideration the fact that something is handmade and that it is one of a kind. And I can say this for jewelry, for bookbinding, for any kind of art. People are distracted by by so many things that they don't think that maybe something that they see has hours and hours of work and thinking behind it. And anyway, the silver and jewelry stuff didn't work. And when I found myself playing with paper, I was astonished by how many things that you can actually do with paper. Now I have all of my desk filled in with stuff that I would like to show you. But paper is absolutely amazing. And also making paper is absolutely amazing. But when it comes to make something, I want to see, I want to know the process of doing something and then make it in my own by adding something or not doing something that is should be involved in the process.
Well, I noticed that I know, as a matter of fact, I noticed the jewelry on your books that sometimes on the cover you will put sort of an emblematic jewel thing, which
Mhm.
I've always noticed and I've always wondered. You're one step ahead of me. You answer my questions before I ask them because I
Well,
was ask you about that. I asked you about the fascination with the cover or something where you put an emblem of a jewel.
well, I have always been fascinated by jewelry, but I came to a point where I got tired of assembling things together to make a jewel. I wanted to work with metal and to melt metal and to shape metal, and that's what I learned when I went to the jewelry school. And the process of making, for example, just a ring is absolutely astonishing to me because you start from the raw material and you end up with a jewel very well polished, super shiny and bright, and that comes from you. And if you try to make it one exact in the same way, you're never going to get the same result. It can be similar, it can be almost identical, but there will always be something that will be different. So jewelry is still stuck in my mind, but it's kind of in a drawer of my mind. And so when it comes to my books, sometimes it happens that I buy very cheap metal brooches and I refine them because I take away the pin and then I scrub them with sandpaper so they turn flat, and I glue them and I secure them to the cover just to give some more interest just to the cover of a journal.
So now you talked about your desk. Is there any way you can show me your desk, or is it possible, do you
Well,
think?
it's a huge, well, this is the desk where computers are, and I have put here things that I want to show you because I don't have a studio, because my home is really small. I work in the kitchen. Everything I do is done in the kitchen. So I hope that, no, the camera doesn't get there. I
Yes, it
have
is.
a couple of things that I want to show you, my collages, my books, and my paper and my porcelain wall plates. I have a lot of stuff. Yes.
Well, start showing.
So, well, since we talked about it, this is the journal that I wrote when I met my husband, and as you can see, it is all handwritten, and it has even some stuff attached to it. This is the cap of a beer bottle. This is the cap of a glass of wine
Why?
bottle. And this is from the year 2000, and it is all handwritten. And so I am very fond of this. And then I will show you the only altered book that I made and that I was talking to you about before, which is quite heavy to say the least. But basically, I talked about basically my life. This is a picture of my husband and I, and the picture is in the middle of this page, held by these strings. It's not glued, it's just suspended, basically. And then I have these these fake Polaroid pictures that I made of me and my husband. And this is the year 2017 when we finally got married, and I made this window. And like, oh my God, and this is a very tough page. Well, I put a mirror in the middle of here and some kind of monster. This is an image transfer that I made with words. And this is the page that I dedicated to the matter of depression, that it seems that nobody wants to talk about, and it's almost a taboo that people don't want to talk about or they do not understand, but I dedicated a page to it. And this is a picture of my family. There is a little chain that connects my mother to my father and sister. I took some very old picture of them, and this is another picture. I took the same picture of me, and on one side I broke it, and on the other side I put the pieces together again. And because I believe that this process of putting our pieces together again happens to every one of us more than once in a lifetime. And this is one of the most important persons in my life. These pages are dedicated to my grandma. And this is a picture, a very, very old picture of my grandma with my mother um, when she was a kid. And I have put this measuring tape because she was a seamstress, and this is one of the tools that she always had around the desk. I have put buttons, and I have put a safety pin because these were her tools, basically. And then I put myself behind bars. These are copper strings, and I said, "Stop putting yourself in a cage. You can fly." Because sometimes we feel in a cage because we feel trapped with things that we make to ourselves, and we forget that we are free to be free. And this is something that, for example, journaling taught me. And oh my God, I have so many things I have to show you. I don't want to be boring.
Keep going. You're not boring me.
And then there is another thing that I am very proud of, which is making paper. Because when we cut images out of a single piece of sheet, we always discard the remaining part of it. And so I started collecting every bits and pieces of white paper, and I remade this paper, and I hope that you can see that it has gold leaf inside, speckles of gold leaf. And like I was saying before, I found my own way of doing that, because when I see people making handmade paper, they follow the steps that are conventional. I do something that it is a little crazy, which is to skim away all of the ink that comes out of the paper, because sometimes there was an image printed or some writings and so on. So I boiled the paper 3 times. I change the water to have it in clean water. When it starts boiling, I skim the foam away to have the paper as pure as possible. And then I also use this paper to print some of my botanicals on them. And this paper is super soft and super precious to me. every single sheet of this paper was actually handmade, and I always try to make it precious, adding gold leaf, or this one has copper leaf. There is always some metal involved. And to me, making paper is another process which is very meditative. And you are giving life again to something that was about to be discarded or thrown away.
Well, don't throw it away, send it to me. But I want to know about the botanicals. I want to know what was your fascination with the botanicals?
Well, I love flowers, I love plants, I am an orchid grower. And one day I was in front of the television with my husband, and he made me watch a YouTube video that was about artificial intelligence that could create images by the prompts that you gave the computer. And I told him,
Right,
well,
right, right. No, I know. I use that as a matter of fact.
and I said, no, that's impossible. That's impossible. So I tried it, and it was possible. So I was very fascinated by that. And I forgot about that artificial intelligence for a while. And I went back to it after 5 or 6 months, and I saw that it had completely changed. And the images that it gave you were absolutely stunning. You couldn't distinguish a picture, an AI picture from an actual picture. So I started creating my own botanicals. And when I save my pictures, I always try to digitally correct them or clean them, removing some colors or noise from the background, because I want to be able to use my picture in any way, so it doesn't have to have a colored background or something like that. So I work on every single picture that I make, but the AI is an open door to anything you want to create, basically.
Which AI do you use? Which
Mid-Journey,
what?
Mid-Journey,
How is it spelled? Journey.
Midjourney. Yes.
Yeah, Mid Journey.
Yes.
I use it as a secretary. You know what I mean? I can't afford a secretary.
Oh,
So I use the artificial intelligence like a secretary. I give it a command, show me, and, show me this beach
mhm,
without a building. And I've been using Photor, which is obviously Chinese,
mhm.
and it was really interesting. It had a half shell. So I said, give me Venus de Milo and a half shell. And it did not know what Venus de Milo was because
Oh,
it's Chinese. So, but you obviously feed it your images and then have it manipulate your images. Am I getting it correct or not?
no, I manipulate them after I get them from the artificial intelligence.
Okay, and what commands are you giving? Maybe I shouldn't ask to
Uh,
them.
oh no, you can ask whatever you want to ask. I use wow, how can I say this in English? I use a program for design. It's called Paint Shop Pro. It's like
Photoshop.
yes, it's like Photoshop. It is a more primitive version of Photoshop, but that's good for me. So I remove the background, I delete stains or imperfection, and I may enhance the colors and change, make
But
little ad
what is your what do you put in Paint Shop Pro? What do you put an image there?
yes, I put an image there.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes,
So
yes,
you actually are taking an image, putting it and manipulating that image.
yes.
Okay, now where does AI come in?
The AI is first. I ask the AI, for example, show me a picture, show me a high detailed um, picture of a bunch of roses. and then I receive that picture. I save it and I move it to my PaintShop Pro program and I manipulate it. I delete the background, I enhance the color, I
Oh, I see. Okay.
change some shapes, even because I want to be able to use it without necessarily, for example, a yellow background, which would be a square on a page. If I only have the flowers, that's what I want. And so that's what I do.
So you create a transparency of the background, getting rid of the
Yes, yes.
background.
Especially when it comes to the digital kits that I make, I use, I think they are 5, 6, or 7 layers of images that are on top of each other. And I play a lot with transparencies. So you may have the picture of a flower in the foreground, and then you have numbers, and then you have a roadmap, and then you have telephone numbers or something like that. So you have all of this stuff put together, and it is so mixed up that you can hardly distinguish what you're looking at.
We're very alike, which is really interesting because maybe that was my attraction to your channel because
Thank you.
I didn't know any of this. But I use, like I said, I for very different reasons. Like I use AI very different.
Hmm.
And sometimes I manipulate my own photograph. And are you on Facebook?
Of course I am.
Well, I will have to friend you on Facebook
Yes,
because
please.
I have some AI pictures that I put on Facebook
Oh,
that when I first started using it, I am a newcomer to AI. And how I found it was we have a program called LinkedIn,
hmm,
and I saw a guy talk about Dali after Salvador Dali, which was a software. And I saw him do this Dali and give commands in Dali. And he talked about how he worked his images in a combining his images to make
yes,
his storyboards and things like that. So in a
yes.
way, you're saying the same thing that you mix all these images
Hmm.
and and you give it the command. I think people say it has the intelligence of a first year MIT student, but the truth of the matter is you are in control of what it does.
Yes, sure.
But have you found it expensive? Because I have. Every time I make an image, it docks me.
No way.
Yes.
No. Well, Midjourney is I use the basic functions, and it is $12 a month.
Okay.
And I create hundreds and hundreds of images that I store, and I only use the ones that I am interested in. Um, but it's not expensive at all. I mean, to me, to have all of those images is more than worthy. So but to spend $12 a month, and it is something that you can suspend at any time. When I will stop work using it, I will stop paying my $12 a month, and that's it.
Now, is it Italian or is it English?
It's super American, super
Super
American.
American. Okay.
Yes, yes. If you use it, it's going to be super simple, and let me tell you, you won't believe your eyes. And to me, that is still pure magic.
Well, now I will tell you my fascination with since we're having a conversation, my fascination with botanical images. I work in a library. So I had found Kew Gardens, old books.
Oh,
We had a set of, we have 33 of them, volumes of Kew Gardens, Kew Gardens in England,
yeah.
their old magazine, their old journal with hand printed and printed images.
Hmm.
So I started collecting them. I started scanning the images and I
Wow.
started using them in my art. And so to me, when I see your images, they remind me of the Kew Garden botanicals because they're very vintage looking
Yeah.
or very, I mean, I don't know, maybe you don't want them to be that, but
I want them to be that vintage because I ask the AI to have a Redoute style, and
oh, Joseph or Robert Redute.
it is Joseph Auguste Redoute or something like
Right,
that,
right, right. That is
because
correct.
he was the first one in the 1700 to make those illustrations that are stuck in everybody's mind because they are absolutely stunning. And this is what I try to replicate in my botanicals and in the postcards that I make. And this is something that Redoute would have drawn.
Right, right, right.
And
That's why when I saw those images, I thought, well, they're very like Kew Gardens book, you know, and that's from the 17th century. This is
yes,
not, this is like, old. So show me more, and we'll talk about whatever you have to show.
so I have these other journals that I make that have a strange shape. I call them the checkbook journals because the shape reminds of a checkbook. And I think this one has botanicals here and there,
Right, right, right.
and the pages are blank, and here and there you have a positive word. And so I design them, I print the pages, then I coffee dye or tea dye them, and then I think that you may have seen this is another book that I made with.
Well, I saw your dollars with lavender because
Oh,
I took your lavender digitals.
you did?
And
Oh,
then I did. I bought them in Etsy, your
and
lavender digitals. But I
yes,
saw the more that talking about checkbooks, I saw the money you made with the lavender digitals.
yes, and these are all of the banknote, the faux banknotes that I have. And this is thanks to the AI. So I just correct, once again, the images I make back and front have the same size. So when you fold the page, you will have a back and front banknote. And once again, thanks to the AI, I made this Halloween book that has Halloween related images. And it also has a little chain with owls attached to it. And then I have, oh, this is another little journal, a blank journal with butterflies. And you have butterflies here and there, but as you see, it is blank. The paper is stained with some colored pigment that I bought. And pages can be filled in with whatever you want with your journaling, with your daily journaling. And some friends of mine told me that they keep the blank journal on their nightstand with a pen because then when they get up, they just want to write down just a couple of words, not to forget what they just dreamt of. I mean, you can basically draw, write, uh, put pictures inside, and do whatever you want. And the same thing, this is what I called the affirmation journal, which is totally blank, but here and there it has some positive um,
Affirmation.
affirmations. And in the end, you have this little envelope with a little tiny postcard that I made
With the
with one
Rideau.
with with one of my digitals.
Yeah.
So
The other I will make one comment. I think that in a way it's nice to have a journal and have little additives or money notes or whatever. But when you put together a journal like in the beginning with the flowers,
Hmm.
I think that's very functional, like for selling, for I don't think you have to overload it like the junk journal people do, but at the
No.
same time, it's very nice to have somebody else working with you. Because it's difficult sometimes to
Hmm.
write yourself into something. So if you feel like, Matteo and I are working together in this, then it's it's good. I just think sometimes you sell things before you even finish them. And I don't know if you sell them to your friends or whom, but I've noticed you always say something like, well, this is already spoken for, or
It happened a couple of times that I was doing something and I published a little preview on Instagram and somebody said, I want it. And to me, that's weird because I want things to be finished and I want them to see it completely. The lavender book that I made was, like I said in the video that I made about it, it was commissioned. Well, no, sorry, it was not commissioned. It was reserved. But I told the lady that bought it, I want you to watch the video entirely before you buy it. Well, this comes from my insecurity, but I want to be sure that you are buying something that you like. And sometimes, very often, it happens that I I also gift things because I know that the person who receives it will have if I know that someone really loves what I do. For example, there was this girl that saw a book that I made with handmade paper. There were lavender flowers. She was blown away. And so I thought, am I going to sell it? No, I gifted it to her. And when she received it, to see her happiness was the the payment. So not everything that I do gets sold. And honestly, of course, everybody likes to earn money, but if it doesn't happen, it's okay anyway. I know that, for example, I took one single sheet of paper and I made this miniature book.
uh-huh.
And I think, honestly, maybe this is not going to sell and maybe it will be gifted to someone. And it's okay. I made this other um, little book with botanicals inside. Here and there are not many, but I know it's tiny. You can keep it in your purse, you can keep it in your pocket. Maybe it's going to sell, maybe it's not.
I
And
have
I am,
I have two questions. Now one,
yes,
and I almost forgot. You talked about depression. Did you suffer from depression yourself, or
I
you
still
just said,
do, and I am on medication.
okay?
Yeah.
So that's why you thought it was something that people don't want to talk about.
People don't want to talk about it because it's some kind of a taboo. And when the majority of people that talk about it, they don't think it is a disease. They um, some kind misunderstand it with a period of bad mood. No, unfortunately, it's not just a bad mood. It's a disease, and we have to talk about it seriously. And people who suffer from this have to ask for help. And asking for help is something that makes you look weak. And so people are ashamed of it. They don't want to look for help and they deny that they have a problem. And this makes the situation worse. So, to me, that was a discovery because I knew nothing about depression. I didn't know what was going on to me, and I decided to ask for help, and here I am.
Yeah, I think that's a very important message that if you ask for help, you can, uh, how do you can recover, if
Hmm.
not recover completely. be functioning. That's what I
Yes.
want to say.
Yes, because when this disease starts biting you, you basically stop living. And basically, if it gets worse, you don't want to live anymore, which is the worst part of it. If you ask for help, you understand, first of all, what's going on to you, and you talk to someone who understands completely the situation and that helps you uh, with medications if needed, or with a very professional interaction, and you start seeing yourself from another point of view, and you stop feeling guilty because it is something that you are suffering from and that you have not created. So you're not guilty of anything. You don't have to feel the guilt, or you don't have to feel weak. It is what it is. And when I started saying in the first period, why me? Why me? Why me? Then I started saying, why not me? Am I different than anybody? No, I'm just like the other ones. So it happened to me, and that's it.
Okay, and before we have about 15 more minutes, is there anything you would like to show more that you would like to show? We've got the banknotes, the little books,
Yes,
the
I want to show you something that I got that I made because after I saw a documentary about Fornasetti, which was an Italian artist, and I'm sure that anyone who is into mixed media has seen his pictures because they are all over the place. I have decided to make my own plates, and last year I started a challenge on YouTube, and the first collage that I did was this one. And this is basically a book of collages. And the first one is my favorite, so I decided to transform it in something really precious. So I searched for a very serious and an old school ceramist, and I had these wall plates. I
ah,
made 10 copies of them, and I left the black and white to honor Fornasetti, which to me is an amazing artist. But I made 10 copies. They were all sold. I made 3 series with 3 different images, and I still have some left. And what people don't know, and this is the first time that I say it, I made the 11th copy, which is for me, which basically is not for sale. Uh, so these plates were sold here in Italy, in the USA, and I am very proud of them. And this is the last one that I did that I called Melodie, which means
melody.
melodies,
Yeah.
because to me, this is a homage to women and flowers. And I have made a mixed media collage, and I think that you can see that there are postage stamps and abstract background, and I transformed this into wall plates, and there are only 10 of this. And the last thing that I made with porcelain are these tiny boxes that are numbered. There are 10 copies of them, and I call them tea time. And the number of the copy is the inside of the lid.
Ah,
And so you see, you start from a collage from a piece of paper, and you find yourself with a porcelain wall plate, and and basically you have your images reworked, rethought, and repurposed in a way.
well, that was something else. That was my last question. That of two. One was depression, and then one was about the plates. That and that in a way, like I said, you've been ahead of me all the time. So which is nice because then I don't have to think. I just let you do the thinking for us. Uh, the reason I ask, I'm going to send you. by your email my uh page, my WordPress uh
Yes, please.
page. And so you will see that in the back of it, I sell, it's called artifacts.
Hmm.
And I sell things like sari tapestries
Hmm.
and things like that. So I was happy to see somebody else who branched out into other things other than, oh, this is the art that I created,
Hmm.
but also this is my interest, or this is the art I created, but this is on porcelain, you know?
Yes.
And I didn't make the sari tapestries, but they're old tapestries, they're saris, old saris,
Hmm.
and I bought them and then I put them in. I put them as part of my for sale on my site. Of course, I sell nothing. Of course, I have no following on YouTube, but that's why we make good partners. So anyway, but the plates I know you sold because I watched when they first came and you
Really?
unveiled them,
Oh,
and they were going like hotcakes actually.
yes. The first series went away in the blink of an eye. The second series with another image. I still have one left that will be bought in October. The third series is I still have five probably left. But you know, to work with artisans which do things in the old way, because I could have had something cheap printed with the sublimatic technique, which is something that I didn't want. I wanted the old school working porcelain, and that's what I found in central Italy, and they sent me everything, and they were amazing. They really were. And so I have my templates, which are, to me, they are a little treasure, and they will hopefully last for a long, long time in somebody else's home.
Well, Matteo, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to talk to me,
Thank
and I
you.
hope that we can continue our discussions
I hope so.
because we will. I will come back. I will try Midjourney and what was it? Painter
Paint Shop Pro.
Paint Shop Pro. I will try it, and because I can't resist on trying something new. So
Midjourney, you will fall in love with it. I
I'm
promise.
going to try it. I'm going to try it. And how is it as a manipulation software? Because I find Photor, the one that I'm using, it doesn't manipulate very well my images. How does Midjourney?
With Paint Shop Pro, you can do a lot of stuff. I don't use I never remember the name of that program, the one you mentioned before, Photoshop,
Photoshop.
because to me is too difficult, too messy. And the one I have, like I said before, is a Neanderthal version of Photoshop. So it's easier, it's faster. So I don't have many problems in using it. But basically, and I want to take the chance to tell you that in case you need something done, if you want to change the color to something and blah, 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 you send me the image, tell me what you want to be done, and I will do it for you in a matter of minutes. So feel free to do it.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
I
you,
would not
Anadora.
sit. I would not sit. I would actually, I'm not capable of sitting this long for anyone who has not kept me interested. So
Oh,
you
thank you.
have. Because of my injury, it's difficult to sit for long periods of time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But it's lovely. It was lovely talking to you,
The
and maybe
same.
do it again.
Yes, please. Let's do it again. Thank you
All
so
right.
very much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Anadora.
Bye.
Bye
Ciao.
bye. Ciao.
All right. I want to stop recording, but of course I can't find it anywhere.